غرباء 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 غرباء.
الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد، فإن خير الكلام كلام الله، وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه تسليما كثيرا، وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. The last time that we came before you brothers and you sisters, we spoke about the rights that the elders have upon us in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. We chose that topic because our children were off of school at that time. We felt that that was a khutbah and a message and a topic that we all needed to hear, but especially our youngsters. In an attempt and the hopes that in dealing with these people that we see from our community and from the greater community at large, even non-Muslims, we should try to deal with them in a better way, a more respectful manner. Today, inshallah, we have a similar topic. And this topic, I don't want to say is dedicated, because I don't know that to be from Al-Islam, to dedicate a talk to Fulan or Alan, but it has someone in my mind, in our masjid right now, and he's my little brother, my young brother, Abdul Wahab. Abdul Wahab. This khutbah is for Abdul Wahab, especially, specifically, and the family of Abdul Wahab, and everybody else who has family members and relatives who are in the condition and the situation of Abdul Wahab. Abdul Wahab, who's in our masjid right now, is what the non-Muslims will call a handicapped person. Handicapped. A person that Allah Azza wa Jal has decreed that that individual is confined to a wheelchair. A person is contorted in his body. He's challenged mentally. An individual who maybe his legs are chopped off, or he has one leg. He has some issues that are going on that are a problem. The quality of the life of some of these people, it has been affected adversely, tremendously, as a result of the so-called handicap Allah Azza wa Jal has decreed. What is the position, and what does Al-Islam say about people in that condition? And those of us who have relatives like that, and those of us who come across people in this condition, what does Al-Islam say to us about their situation? How should we deal with it? What should we do? What should we not do? And a lot can be said for the people who are handicapped. First of all, we should know that in the times of Al-Jahiliyyah, there were handicapped people. And that time, the people who were the relatives of the handicapped, they were embarrassed as a result of their condition. If a person had a relative who was handicapped, he thought that that reflected on him negatively. He was embarrassed. So they would put the handicapped person out to pasture. They will leave them. They will leave them just to fend for themselves. And they would be always in an uptight position to let other people know this individual came from my loins, or he shares my blood. That's Jahiliyyah. If you're an individual who you have a mother, father, a relative who has a handicap, and you have to take them to the hospital or to the doctor, the GP, and you're embarrassed when people see them, you're embarrassed, you feel uptight, that feeling of yours is the feeling that the people of Al-Jahiliyyah had, and you're not understanding the issue correctly. Allah Azza wa Jal, He had a lot of mercy upon the handicapped and other than the handicapped. He said in the Quran about himself, Allahu latifun bi'ibadihi. Allah is latif with all of his servants, all of them. He's latif with you and me in that he gave us relatively good health. That's the lutf of Allah. And even the handicapped person, Allah was latif. He described himself in many ayahs as being Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim, Ar-Ra'uf Ar-Rahim, wa huwa al-Ghafur al-Wadud. Allah is al-Wadud. He has love for his servants. He didn't create a person handicapped to oppress him and to punish him. Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in many ayahs of the Quran, يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ يَخْلُقُ مَا يُرِيدُ وَاللَّهُ يَخْلُقُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Allah creates however he wants to create, whatever he wants to create. Inna Allah qadirun alim. Allah is qadir and he's alim. He has the ability to create everybody perfectly, whatever that means. In the religion of Islam, for the family of Abdul Wahab and people in that condition, it's not even correct to call handicapped people handicapped according to the Kitab and the Sunnah. Over 50 years ago, Muslim ulama got away from that word, the mu'awwaqeen, got away from the word handicap because it's not politically correct and it doesn't render the correct understanding in al-Islam. There are many mafahim, many ideas that the companions used to have about particular things that the Nabi came and he rectified those misunderstandings. He asked the people, who's the bankrupt person from amongst you? Who's the muflis from you? They said the muflis, the bankrupt one, is the one who doesn't have any money and he doesn't have any property. The Nabi said, no, that's the understanding of the people of the dunya. That's the understanding of the people of other than Islam. He said, the muflis min ummati alladhi ya'ti yawm al-qiyamah bis-salatin wal-zakatin wal-siyamin wal-nusukin wa qad daraba hadha wa shatama hadha wa akala mal hadha wa qadhaba hadha. The muflis one, the bankrupt one, is the one who will come yawm al-qiyamah. He made salat, he made zakat, gave zakat, he fasted, he performed hajj and umrah, but during the course of his life, he punched that one, he hit that one, he shed his blood, he took his wealth, he accused this one falsely, he made ghiba, he made namima, he oppressed that one, he didn't give the mother the rights, this, that. So as a result of that, those people who he oppressed, they're going to take away his good deeds, and then their bad deeds will be thrown on him if they don't get their rights before his good deeds are exhausted. The point here is that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained to the people something that they misunderstood. Handicapped in Islam is not Abdul Wahab. Handicapped in Islam is the individual who has limbs and he doesn't use those limbs to worship Allah and to obey Allah. And even if he makes a mistake or she makes a mistake, they make tawbah. They use the tongue to make tawbah. Ayat upon ayat upon ayat. Allah brought that to our attention. وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا لِجَهَنَّمْ كَثِيرًا مِنَ الْجِنِّ وَالْإِنسِ لَهُمْ قَلُوبٌ لَا يَفْقَهُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ أَعْيُنٌ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ بِهَا وَلَهُمْ آذَانٌ لَا يَسْمَعُونَ بِهَا أُولَئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ بَلْ هُمْ أَضَلُّ أُولَئِكَ هُمُ الْغَافِلُونَ. Allah has prepared the Jahannam for many of those who are from the jinn and from mankind. Those individuals, they have hearts that they don't understand with them. They have eyes that they don't use to be able to see. They have ears that they don't have the ability to hear. Those are the ones who are astray. They're more astray than the animals. And they're the ones who are not cognizant. They're not realizing that the limbs have been given to you to worship Allah. So those young people were here. Not only you, but the young people were here. The Nabi told the people, take advantage of 5 things before 5 things happen. 2 of the things he said take advantage of your youthfulness before you become old. And take advantage of your good health before you become sick. The one who doesn't pray, the one who doesn't wear hijab, the one who's making mistakes and not making tawbah, that's the handicap. Allah Azza wa Jal mentioned about a man who turned away from the dhikr of Allah. He didn't pray, he didn't read the Quran, he didn't do what he was supposed to do. Allah Ta'ala will raise him up Yawm al-Qiyamah. He mentioned this situation. قال رب لما حشرتني أعمى وقد كنت بصيرا قال كذلك أتتك آياتنا فنسيتها وكذلك اليوم تنسى. He will say, oh my Lord, why did you wake me up and bring me back to life when I used to be able to see and now I'm blind? Yawm al-Qiyamah, I can't see. I used to be able to see, but now I can't see. Allah will tell him, that's how it was. My ayat came to you and you forgot about them. You turned away from them. You were blind to them in the dunya. So now you're going to be forgotten. You're going to be made blind. That individual, he was able to see in the dunya. But when he didn't use his eyesight to make the dhikr of Allah, to learn his religion, to do what he was supposed to do, Allah Azza wa Jal made him blind Yawm al-Qiyamah. So the true blindness is not the ability or the inability to see or not to see. It's the basira in the heart. فَإِنَّهَا لَا تَعْمَى الْأَبْصَارُ وَلَكِنْ تَعْمَى الْقُلُوبَ الَّتِي فِي الصُّدُورِ. It is not the eyes that can't see, but it's the hearts that are inside of the chest, the breast, that are blind. So in Islam, 50 years ago, the ulama of Islam, they called the so-called handicapped people, they called them ذُوُ الْإِحْتِيَاجَاتِ الْخَاصَّةِ, the people who have special needs. Only 10, 15 years have the Europeans started using that word. Americans started using that word. And Imam Ahmed Shakir used that word 50 years ago. They're not handicapped. The handicapped is the one who doesn't use his limbs to obey Allah Azza wa Jalla. اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون. Yawm al-Qiyamah, we're going to put a seal over their mouths so they won't be able to talk. Instead, their hands are going to talk about what they used to do, and their feet are going to bear witness against them for what they used to do. The feet are going to say, I didn't go to the masjid, I didn't pray. The hands are going to say, I did this and I did that, I hit this and so forth and so on. So that's the first point that we want to mention to our brother Abdul Wahab and the family of Abdul Wahab. The real handicapped one is not Abdul Wahab, but it's the one who's not using the limbs that Allah Azza wa Jalla gave him. Another issue, Ikhwani, especially for you young people, because due to immaturity, a lot of times we look at these people and we make fun at them. We look at these people and we laugh at them. If being a person who has special needs was in and of itself a negative thing, then why would Allah Azza wa Jalla cause some of his awliya to have special needs? Awliya of the Quran and awliya who were with the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they had special needs, so-called handicaps. Like the Nabi of al-Islam, Ayub salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. وأيوب إذ نادى ربه أني مسني السوء أني مسني الضر وأنت أرحم الراحمين. And remember our slave Ayub, who called out to his Lord, verily I have been afflicted with something that is terrible, is harming me. And you, Allah Ar-Rahman, you're the most merciful of those who have mercy. أني مسني الشيطان بنصب وعذاب. Shaitan has touched me with a serious affliction and punishment for 18 years, 1-8. The Nabi, the Wali of al-Islam, the Wali of Allah, Ayub, 18 years, he had smallpox. You go to the internet and you look at the pictures of people who have smallpox. Smallpox have been eradicated now. It's not in the dunya right now. You look at the picture of the people who have smallpox. That man, that Nabi, that Wali, he has smallpox. If that's not a handicap, I don't know what a handicap is. Other scholars said that he had leprosy. Leprosy, that the Nabi told us, Firru min al-majdhum fararukum min al-asad. A person who has leprosy, run away from him the way you run away from a lion, because it is an infectious disease. By Allah's permission, if it gets in you, your skin, your muscles will fall off of you. 18 years he had to go through that situation. Abdul Wahab and other than Abdul Wahab, Allah Azza wa Jal, he cured Ayub. The point is, if having a handicap in and of itself was a problem, why would Allah decree that? And his awliya like Yaqub, وَبْيَضَّتْ عَيْنَاهُ مِنَ الْحُزْنِ فَهُوَ كَذِيمٌ. Yaqub became blind from extreme sorrow. He became extremely sorry, and as a result of that, he couldn't see. He was blind. The Prophet told the people who were blind in our community, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man faqada habibatayhi thumma sabara falahu al-jannah." Anyone who loses his eyesight, his two beloveds, and he's patient, he'll get the Jannah. Ayub, wali from the awliya of Allah. Yaqub, wali from the awliya of Allah. Why did Allah mention their story in the Quran with these issues? Because having special needs in and of itself is not a big problem, it's not the big issue. The awliya of Allah, they had it. Musa, قال رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. Musa, when Allah sent him to Fir'aun, he made a dua to Allah. Open my breast, I have to deal with this man. Open my breast and make my affair easy and untie the impediment that is in my tongue. Now I'm asking you brothers, you young brothers, after you leave this khutbah, you go on the internet and you go to YouTube and you put in that YouTube, the boy who stutters. The boy who stutters. They did a special program on him and he called the NHS. The program was showing how people who stutter have all kinds of mental issues. Relatives who can't express themselves. The man has something inside of his heart, he wants to tell you about it, but he can't. His brain is not cooperating with his tongue. That is a handicap and that's a fitna. Do we laugh at him? Do we laugh at people who can't express themselves like Fir'aun did? La yakadu an yubin. He said about Musa, you can't even express yourself. He was putting them down. The boy called the NHS. He couldn't even say, I want, all he said was, and when you watch the YouTube clip, you're gonna laugh. You're gonna laugh if you don't have the taqwa of Allah. So the point is, Allah Azza wa Jal cured Ayub. Allah Azza wa Jal brought back the eyesight of Yaqub. Allah Azza wa Jal took the speech impediment off of the tongue of Musa. So the handicapped individual, in and of itself, is not a bad thing. As a matter of fact, ikhwani, with sabr, for Abdul Wahab and his relatives, with sabr, the people who die and they're okay, they're going to have hasad and ghibta towards these people. And Mustafa sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in an authentic hadith, يود أهل العافية يوم القيامة حين يعطى أهل البلاء الثواب لو أن جلودهم كانت قردت في الدنيا بالمقاريد. People who have good health, people who are strong and they can move around. These people, Yawm al-Qiyamah, when everyone dies and Allah raises them up, the people who die with good health, they're going to wish when Allah starts to give the people who had handicaps, when Allah starts to give them their rewards, those people who had good health are going to wish, oh, I wish when I was in the dunya that my skin would have been taken off, my meat would have been taken off. Why is that? That's because the handicap, as the Nabi says, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لا يزال البلاء بالمؤمن ولا مؤمنة حتى إذا يلقى الله ما عليه خطية. لا يزال البلاء بالمؤمن والمؤمنة في نفسه وولده وماله حتى إذا يلقى الله عز وجل ما عليه خطية. A person will not cease to be tried, the believing man or the believing woman. They're going to always have fitna, trials and tribulations within their own selves. He has a handicap. His child, he's going to be tried with his child. His child has a handicap. He's going to be tried with his money. He doesn't have any. He's in debt. He will always be in this condition until he meets Allah. And when he meets Allah, because he had patience, he won't have any sins. Abdul Wahab, wallahi, Abdul Wahab, his situation, Yawm al-Qiyamah, if they're patient with that thing, Allah Azza wa Jal, Yawm al-Qiyamah, this thing that you feel in the dunya is not going to be there. The people are going to have hasad for people like that. So when you see a handicapped person, there are certain things we should do and things we shouldn't do. One thing you shouldn't do is don't feel that you're better than them, and don't look at them like they have the problem, because perhaps perchance you're the one who has the problem. From the huquq of the people who have special needs, and there are many, is that they have the right to be serviced, to be taken care of. The tadawi is our job. Their relatives, the masjid, the community. We have to take these people to the hospital. We have to make it easy for them, the life that they live. There was a companion, his kunya was Abu Lahm. Abu Lahm. He said, I came to the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They told Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they told him, I used to do ruqya for the crazy people, majnoon people in Jahiliyyah. The Nabi said, tell me your ruqya. Give me your ruqya. I want to hear it. The man started saying the ruqya to the Nabi, the things he used to say in Jahiliyyah for majnoon people. The Nabi said, as for these things you said, continue to use that. And as for those things, don't say that anymore. That goes to show that the handicapped people have a right to have ruqya done on them and other medical needs that are their rights. Another companion, Kharija ibn Salt, radiyallahu anhu, he said, there was a man who was majnoon. Some of the people tied him up. I read for him Surah Al-Fatiha. Al-Fatiha, Abdul Wahhab's family. Al-Fatiha. The man had a handicap. He was majnoon. I read Surah Al-Fatiha and he got up and started walking around like everything was okay, and they gave me 100 sheep after that, and the Nabi allowed this sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So it shows they have the right. We have to look for all kinds of medical issues to try to help their situation. This masjid, your house, your job, we have to make it accessible. The property, the facilities. You people are aware. There was a brother who used to stand in that corner right there by that pillar. He used to do sign languages for the khutbah. Because we have people in our community who are deaf. They're deaf, but they're not dumb. They have every right to understand. The khutbatul Jummah is something they should attend. Green Lane Masjid was the first masjid in this city that provided that service in an attempt trying to be ahead of the curve. Khutbahs that our community can relate to. The point is, where are the Muslims concerned in that? On TV, those kuffar bring that for their death. Churches, synagogues, they bring that for their death. It's just something normal and natural. Why wouldn't that be a service in every masjid? We have to have facilities to make things easy for them, generally speaking. From the rights of those people with special needs and making life easier for them is we can't discriminate against those people. We don't need the kuffar to tell us about these issues. This has been revealed in the Quran and the Sunnah over 1,000 years ago. They're going to tell us and teach us. Don't get it twisted and misunderstand me. When it comes to the dunya and technology and different issues, Muslims, we're in a position where we can borrow from other people from mankind. We don't have all of the answers. Arabs don't have all of the answers. Muslims don't have all of the answers. But when it comes to the ibadat in al-Islam and the aqidah, the ibadat and how to deal with people, we don't need anyone coming to tell us where we have to apologize and feel like we're second-class citizens. We can't discriminate against the handicap. If a person comes to you for a job, he or she is qualified and they tick all of the boxes, you can't look at them and say, he's in a wheelchair, he can't do this job. That's haram in the deen of Allah. Haram. There's a companion, his name is Abdullah ibn Maktoum. He's from the awliya of Allah. He was the mu'adhin of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He had a job. One of his jobs was the mu'adhin. He used to make the first adhan for Qiyamul Layl, not the adhan for Fajr, Qiyamul Layl. And then Bilal would come and make the adhan for Fajr. This man, Abasa wa tawalla and ja'ahu al-a'ma. Ya Muhammad, don't turn away from the blind man. Don't treat him like that. Even if your goal and your objective is to try to get these rich people and powerful people and the noble people of Quraysh to come to the deen to help him and others. Don't turn away from the blind man. The surah is revealed on his behalf. What was his job? His job was to let the community know it's time for this particular prayer. Even bigger than that, 2 times, not once, twice. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam left Al-Medina. Once he went to make jihad, once he went to perform Hajj. Who did he leave in charge of the Muslims of Medina? Did he leave Ali ibn Abi Talib, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman? He didn't leave Abu Bakr. As a matter of fact, this man was the first Khalif of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He left Abdullah ibn Maktoum. He was responsible for the Muslims in the absence of the Nabi, and the man couldn't see. He was the Amir al-Mu'mineen in Medina. And then we have this crazy thing about the madhabs. The madhab will tell you the imam can't lead the salat if he doesn't have a leg. If he doesn't have a leg, he can't lead the salat. Where does that come from? The man was in charge of Al-Medina. So we don't have the right to discriminate against those individuals. From what the Nabi showed us sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the book of Allah, especially again for you young people, it is not permissible to laugh at these people, to make fun at these people. A person is a'raj. The Nabi, he had a companion, Amr ibn Jumuh, and other than him, they used to be a'raj. A'raj is when a person, something's wrong with one of his legs, so he has to limp. In America, when we were young, we used to call these people crip, like a cripple. You can't even call people that anymore. If you say to your co-worker, you cripple, crip, he can bring you up on defamation charges, libel suit against you, and we make fun of him. You can't make fun of people who have special needs. They have special needs. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خيرا منهم ولا نساء يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا يسخر قوم من قوم عسى أن يكونوا خير منهم ولا نساء عسى أن يكون خير منهن ولا تلمزوا أنفسكم ولا تنابزوا بالألقاب. Oh, you who believe, don't ridicule, and don't laugh at other people from amongst you. It may be that those people are better than you, and don't allow the women to laugh at other women. It may be that those who are being laughed at and mocked, they are better than the ones who are laughing and doing the mocking. And don't call yourselves by offensive nicknames. Crip. That's ghiba in al-Islam. The Nabi asked the people, when the man asked him, what is ghiba? He said, ghiba is mentioning your brother with something that he doesn't like in his absence. He doesn't want you him a midget. You can't call him a midget. That's not a nice name to call someone like that. And nor should you look at that person and look at him funny. Allah Azza wa Jal can create, and He has created any and everyone. And if He created you with some issue, as-sabr, sabr jameel, just be patient. This dunya, ikhwani, is fleeting and it's going to be gone pretty soon. It's going to be gone. Yawmul Qiyamah is eternity. And if a person has had the responsibility of just carrying the luggage that Allah gave him, what He has decreed upon him, what Allah prepared for the people over there is much better. From the rights and what we should do for them and concerning them is we should make dua for those individuals, and we should make dua for ourselves as well. There was a companion, he came to the Nabi to complain about some of the sick people who were with him, and he was responsible for them. Ahkam in the Quran, Allah revealed this book, and in it are rules and regulations for those people who are sick. So many ayat for those who are sick. That man was complaining, I have to take care of him, it's not easy, I'm tired, I have my own children, whatever the case is. The Prophet told that man, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he told us, Abdul Wahab and his family, innakum turzaquna bi du'afaikum. You people are provided for because of the weak ones that are in your house. That's where the risk comes from, because of Abdul Wahab, bi-idhnillah. Why are you looking at it like that? You people, your risk comes to you from Allah because of the du'afa who are with you. Who's responsible for them? Allah is responsible for them. نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. We provide for you and we provide for them. So we have to take it easy. As for making dua for ourselves, from the sunnah of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as we mentioned a number of times, his existence from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, dua, dua, dua. Every day, but especially on Friday, his existence from the moment he woke up to the moment he put his head on the pillow and doing his course of sleeping, a dua, dua, dua. And from that dua, he told us, if you see someone who has been created and he has a condition, he's handicapped, he has special needs, something is missing, he's blind, there's some issues going on, then you should make the dua. All praises are due to Allah, who has saved me from what He has afflicted with and He has put me above, honored me above many of His creation. Alhamdulillah alladhi afani mimma ibtalaka bihi wa faddalani ala kathir mimman khalaqa tafdila. Simple, easy dua. You see that person walking across the street, you make that dua. You see that individual in the masjid, you make that dua. Not looking down on him, but being thankful and grateful that Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you good health. And another thing, ikhwani, about good health, As you sit there and you're thinking about handicapped people, people with special needs, don't think for 1 minute that by the time Maghrib comes today, inshallah, you can be handicapped. Car accident, you're handicapped. A stroke, you're handicapped. Something falls on you, you're handicapped. So the point here is, we have to be people who are shakirin to Allah Azza wa Jal for the many ni'mas that He provided for us. وَإِن تَعُدُّوا نِعْمَةَ اللَّهِ لَا تُحْصُوهَا. If you people were to try to count and enumerate the favors of Allah upon you, you would never be able to do so. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ونسأل الله تعالى العافية والسداد والتوفيق. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulillah. If you were to go into some of the masajid, the cultural masjids of our community, the cultural masjids, they have those posters that say that the Nabi said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, jannibu masajidakum majaninakum wasibyanakum. Keep your crazy people and the children away from the masjid, out of the masjid. I don't want to call them crazy. Keep the majnoon people away from the masjid. The Prophet said, keep the majnoon people out of the masjid and the children. That's the cultural masjid. The Nabi never said something like that. That's so insensitive. You know those hadith, the Nabi said, don't eat in the masjid, don't laugh in the masjid, all of that stuff. And trying to get away from certain things, they fall into what's even worse than that, lying on the Nabi, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The point here is, we're not going to bring a majnoon person to the masjid who's going to be disrupting the services and so forth and so on. But if he needed to come to the masjid to do ruqyah at the right time, then he can come to the masjid. رُفِعَ الْقَلَمُ عَنْ ثَلَاثٍ. The pen has been lifted off of 3 people. They're not responsible. And one of those individuals is al-majnoon hatta yafiq. The majnoon person is not responsible until his sanity comes back to him. So you have to be patient with him. Your grandmother, your grandfather is senile. You have relatives downstairs, you have people who you're entertaining, guests, and your auntie, your grandmother comes down, your grandfather comes down, and he embarrasses you? No, that's not an embarrassment. إِنَّكُمْ تُرْزَقُونَ بِدُعَفَائِكُمْ. You're being given risk because of that auntie or that grandmother, that grandfather. The cultural Islam, it doesn't work for us. These people have to be looked at, ikhwani, and they have to be looked after in a certain way. And the way that we deal with them is with ihsan. And again, ihsan is generally just being good to them and doing good by them. So if you have people who are like that, you're responsible for them, they're under your wing of supervision, look at it in that way. Yawmul qiyamah, yawmul qiyamah. If you don't have those people and you come across those people, make the dua for yourself. And the members of our community, make dua for them. As for the majaneen of the kuffar and those people like that, even those people, yawmul qiyamah, they're going to be tried. We don't even say that they're kuffar, the majaneen. Allah is going to test them, and it's up to Him to determine what's going to happen with their situation. Take it easy with the handicap. You young people, as you go back to the school and you finish your vacation, this holiday, you have to look at yourself and assess. In these last 2 weeks, what have you accomplished? How many prayers did you make? How and what did you memorize that's new? What did you do for your family? Or were you just useless during this time? You know the answer. But the point is, we want to see a little bit more effort from our youth, from our shabab. And you have the ability to do that, to be good examples, inshallah ta'ala, for your families first and foremost, and then for your community. May Allah Azza wa Jal protect our shabab. May Allah Azza wa Jal establish us and their feet on al-Islam. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring us and them back to our rushd and make things easy for us in the dunya and easy in the hereafter. May Allah have mercy on our brother Abdul Wahab. Oh Allah, put Abdul Wahab in the Jannah. And the rest of the handicapped people from our community, those who have special needs, put them in the Jannah. Oh Allah Ta'ala, protect us give us good health. Let us enjoy our eyesight, our intellect, and our ability to see. Aqim salat, yarhamakum Allah.
غرباء غرباء غرباء